The doctor announced, "You're pregnant!" And my mother-in-law laughed. "That's impossible." But I knew the truth. Her son was cheating. I smiled. "Tell him." She turned pale as he heard the news. His face dropped, and she collapsed in shame. So, here I am, sitting in my Honda Civic outside a Starbucks, hands literally shaking as I type this out on my phone. Y'all, I need to get this story off my chest, because what just went down at the doctor's office has me feeling like I'm living in some twisted soap opera, no cap. Let me paint the picture for you. I've been married to my husband Jake for 3 years now, and his mom Linda has been a total nightmare from day one. Picture that stereotypical mother-in-law who thinks no woman is good enough for her precious baby boy. Yeah, that's Linda to a T. She's always made snide comments about my cooking, my job at the local veterinary clinic, even the way I fold Jake's laundry. Nothing I do is ever right in her eyes. But here's where it gets juicy. About 6 months ago, I started noticing some weird stuff. Jake would get these random text messages at dinner and quickly flip his phone face down. He'd disappear for hours, on weekends, claiming he was helping his buddy Mike with some construction project. Classic cheating behavior, right? But what really got my attention was how Linda started acting all secretive too. She'd call Jake and they'd have these hushed conversations where she'd suddenly go quiet when I walked into the room. I'm not stupid, y'all. I put 2 and 2 together pretty quick. My husband was having an affair, and somehow his mom was involved. Maybe she was covering for him. Maybe she knew the other woman. Either way, they were both playing me for a fool. The confirmation came last month when I accidentally grabbed Jake's phone instead of mine when we were rushing out the door. A text from someone named Ashley popped up that made my stomach drop. It wasn't explicit, but it was definitely the kind of message you don't send to someone's husband unless you're sleeping with them. The timestamp showed they'd been texting at 2 a.m. while Jake was supposedly passed out next to me. I screenshot that message faster than you could say Bud Light and sent it to myself. But instead of confronting Jake right away, I decided to play the long game. I started paying closer attention to everything: his schedule, his stories, Linda's behavior. That's when I noticed Linda had been acting really weird lately. She'd been complaining about feeling sick, missing her weekly bridge games with her friends, and making excuses to avoid her usual activities. Update. Guys, I'm getting so many messages asking if I confronted them yet. The answer is no, and here's why. I wanted to catch them red-handed with undeniable proof. But what happened at the doctor's office today was not what I was expecting. Should I have handled this differently? Fast. Forward to today. Linda had been complaining about feeling nauseous and tired for weeks, so Jake finally convinced her to see a doctor. She asked me to drive her because Jake had to work, and honestly, I saw it as an opportunity to maybe get some information out of her. We went to this little family practice clinic across town where her longtime doctor works. We're sitting in the waiting room, and Linda is going on and on about how it's probably just stress or maybe something she ate. She's 52 years old, so pregnancy never even crossed anyone's mind. The woman has been through menopause, for crying out loud, but she's got all these classic symptoms: nausea, fatigue, weird food cravings. I'm sitting there thinking maybe she has some kind of stomach bug or vitamin deficiency. When they called her name, she asked me to come back with her for moral support. Dr. Peterson, who's been her doctor for like 20 years, does his usual checkup routine, takes her blood pressure, listens to her heart, asks about her symptoms. Then he says he wants to run some blood work just to rule out a few things. We wait for about 30 minutes, and I'm scrolling through Instagram while Linda flips through an old copy of People magazine. She's commenting on celebrity gossip and acting all normal, but I can tell she's nervous. Finally, Dr. Peterson comes back with this look on his face that I can't quite read. He sits down across from us and looks directly at Linda. "Well, I have your results, and I think you're going to be surprised." Linda straightens up in her chair. "Is everything okay? Is it serious?" Dr. Peterson smiles and says, "Linda, you're pregnant." Y'all, the silence in that room was deafening. Linda just stares at him for a solid 10 seconds before she starts laughing. Not a happy laugh, but that kind of nervous, disbelieving laugh you do when someone tells you something completely ridiculous. "That's impossible," she says, still chuckling. "Doctor, I went through menopause 5 years ago. I haven't had a period in forever. There's absolutely no way I could be pregnant." But Dr. Peterson is looking at his chart and shaking his head. "The blood work doesn't lie, Linda. Your HCG levels are elevated, and based on the numbers, I'd estimate you're about 8 weeks along. Sometimes women can still ovulate sporadically even after menopause, especially if they haven't had a complete hysterectomy." That's when it hit me like a freight train. 8 weeks ago was right around the time Jake started acting super shady. Right around the time those late-night texts with Ashley started. But Linda is pregnant, not Ashley. My brain is working overtime trying to process this information when Linda looks at Dr. Peterson and says, "But I haven't been with anyone. My husband died 3 years ago, and I haven't dated since then." The room goes quiet again, and I can see Dr. Peterson trying to figure out how to respond to that. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there having the most horrible realization of my life. If Linda hasn't been with anyone else, and she's definitely pregnant, then there's only one explanation. I look at Linda, really look at her, and I can see the exact moment when the same thought crosses her mind. Her face goes completely white and her hand flies to her mouth. "Oh my God," she whispers. Update. I know some of you are probably thinking this is fake because it sounds too crazy to be real. Trust me, I wish it was fake. But DNA doesn't lie, and neither do pregnancy tests. The real question is, what would you do in my situation? How do you even begin to process something like this? Now, I've always been pretty good at reading people. It comes with the territory when you work with animals all day. You learn to pick up on subtle cues and behaviors. And right now, Linda's behavior is telling me everything I need to know. She's not just shocked about being pregnant, she's horrified because she knows exactly how it happened. I lean forward in my chair and look her straight in the eye. Linda, I say, keeping my voice super calm and steady, I think you need to call Jake. She looks at me with this deer in headlights expression. Why would I need to call Jake? Because, I say, pulling out my phone and showing her the screenshot I took of that text message from Ashley, I think we both know this pregnancy isn't some medical miracle. Linda stares at my phone screen, and I watch her face go through about 50 different emotions in the span of 10 seconds. Confusion, recognition, denial, and then this awful look of shame and guilt that confirms everything I suspected. Dr. Peterson is clearly uncomfortable with the direction this conversation is taking. He clears his throat and says, "Perhaps you, ladies would like some privacy to discuss this. I'll step out for a moment." As soon as he leaves, Linda starts crying. Not pretty tears, but ugly, gut-wrenching sobs that make her whole body shake. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this," she keeps repeating. "It was just supposed to be once, just once." And there it is, the confession I've been waiting months to hear, except it's so much worse than anything I could have imagined. My husband wasn't just cheating on me, he was cheating with his own mother. The woman who raised him, who I've been trying to win over for 3 years, who made me feel like garbage every chance she got. I'm sitting there trying to process this information, and honestly, I don't know whether to laugh, cry, or throw up. It's like my brain can't quite compute what I'm hearing. This is Jerry Springer level crazy, and it's happening in my actual life. "Linda," I say, trying to keep my voice steady, "you need to tell him. Today." She looks up at me with mascara running down her cheeks. "I can't. This will destroy everything. His marriage, his family, his reputation. Everyone will know." "Everyone's going to know anyway," I tell her. "You're pregnant with your son's baby. That's not something you can hide forever." She starts shaking her head frantically. I could move away. I could tell people it's from some guy I met online. I could figure something out. But I'm done playing games. I'm done being the fool in this situation. I pull out my phone and hit Jake's number before she can stop me. He answers on the second ring. "Hey babe, how's mom's appointment going?" "Jake," I say, putting the phone on speaker so Linda can hear. "Your mom has something she needs to tell you, something really important." "Okay, put her on." I hand the phone to Linda, who's looking at me like I just sentenced her to death. Her hands are shaking so bad she can barely hold the phone steady. "Jake?" Her voice is barely a whisper. "Mom, you okay? You sound upset." Linda takes a deep breath and looks at me one more time. I can see her debating whether to lie, to make up some story that will protect both of them. But I shake my head and mouth the word truth at her. "Jake, I'm pregnant." The silence on the other end of the phone is deafening. Finally, Jake's voice comes through and he sounds confused. "What? Mom, that's impossible. You went through menopause years ago." The doctor confirmed it. 8 weeks. Another long pause. I can practically hear the wheels turning in Jake's head as he tries to figure out how this could have happened. And then, just like with Linda, you can hear the exact moment when the realization hits him. "Oh no. Oh God, no. Mom, please tell me this isn't what I think it is." Linda starts crying again, which is answer enough. "I'm coming to get you," Jake says, and his voice sounds completely different now. Panicked, desperate. "Don't go anywhere. Don't say anything to anyone. I'm coming right now." He hangs up, and Linda and I just sit there in this horrible, heavy silence. Dr. Peterson comes back in and takes one look at our faces before quietly excusing himself again. 20 minutes later, Jake bursts through the door of the clinic looking like he's seen a ghost. His hair is all messed up like he's been running his hands through it, and his face is pale as a sheet. He looks at his mom, then at me, then back at his mom. "Is it true?" he asks, and his voice cracks on the words. Linda nods, unable to speak. Jake sinks into the chair next to us and puts his head in his hands. "How did this happen? How did we let this happen?" "It was just that one night," Linda whispers. "You were so upset about the fight you had with her," she nods toward me, "and you came over crying, and we both had too much wine, and one thing led to another." I remember that night. It was about 2 months ago, and we'd had a huge argument about him never standing up to his mother when she criticized me. He'd stormed out and didn't come home until the next morning, claiming he'd slept on Mike's couch. Turns out he was at his mother's house doing things I don't even want to think about. Update. This is probably going to be my last update for tonight because I honestly need some time to process everything that's happened. But I wanted to let everyone know that I've made my decision about what to do next. Some of you might think I'm being too harsh, but after everything they've put me through, I think my response is justified. What do you think? Am I handling this the right way? Jake looks up at me with tears in his eyes. "I know this doesn't fix anything, but I'm so sorry. This wasn't supposed to happen. It was a mistake, a horrible mistake." "A mistake?" I stand up from my chair, and I can feel 3 years of pent-up anger and frustration bubbling to the surface. A mistake is forgetting to put the toilet seat down or leaving your socks on the floor. What you did was make a conscious choice to betray not just me, but every moral boundary that exists. "Please," Linda begs, "we can figure this out. We can work through this as a family." "Family?" I actually laugh at that. "Lady, you are pregnant with your son's baby. There is no working through that. There is no coming back from that." I grab my purse and head for the door, but I turn back one more time. "Oh, and Linda, that whole time you were making me feel like I wasn't good enough for your son? Turns out I was too good for both of you." Walking out of that clinic was the most liberating feeling I've ever experienced. Yeah, my marriage is over, and yeah, my life is about to get really complicated with divorce proceedings and all that. But for the first time in 3 years, I don't have to pretend to be okay with Linda's passive-aggressive comments or Jake's suspicious behavior. I drove straight to my sister's house and told her everything. She opened a bottle of wine, ordered pizza, and we spent the rest of the evening planning my exit strategy. I've already called a divorce lawyer, and I'm meeting with her tomorrow morning. I've also started looking for a new apartment because there's no way I'm staying in the house Jake and I shared. The best part? I don't have to keep their disgusting secret. I'm not going to blast it all over social media or anything, but I've told my family and close friends exactly why I'm leaving Jake. Let them deal with the shame and embarrassment of what they've done. As for the pregnancy, that's their problem to figure out. I heard through the grapevine that Linda is planning to move to her sister's house in Arizona to have the baby away from all the gossip. Jake is apparently telling people that we're getting divorced because we grew apart. What a joke. I'm not going to lie and say this has been easy. Finding out your husband cheated is one thing, but finding out he cheated with his own mother is a whole different level of betrayal. There are days when I feel like I'm living in some kind of nightmare, and days when I'm so angry I could scream. But mostly I feel relieved. Relieved that I don't have to pretend anymore. Relieved that I don't have to smile and nod when Linda makes her snide comments. Relieved that I don't have to wonder where Jake is when he's working late or helping Mike. The truth has a way of setting you free, even when it's the most horrible truth you could imagine. It's been 6 weeks since that day at the doctor's office, and my life has changed completely. I moved into a cute little apartment across town, got a promotion at work, and I'm honestly happier than I've been in years. I've started going to therapy to work through all the trauma, and I've reconnected with friends I'd lost touch with during my marriage. Jake has tried to contact me a few times, sending pathetic text messages about how sorry he is and how he wants to work things out. I blocked his number after the third message. Linda sent me a letter last week from Arizona, some rambling apology about how she never meant for any of this to happen. I threw it in the trash without finishing it. The divorce was finalized last month, and I got pretty much everything I asked for. Jake didn't want to fight me in court, probably because he was terrified I'd tell the judge exactly why we were getting divorced. I got the house, the car, and most of our savings. He can keep his twisted relationship with his mother and whatever drama that brings. I heard from a mutual friend that Linda had the baby last month. A healthy baby boy who looks just like Jake did as a newborn, according to the photos she's apparently been showing around. The friend said Linda is telling people it's her late husband's baby, conceived through some kind of medical procedure. Nobody's buying it, but they're all too polite to call her out on the obvious lie. Jake is apparently struggling with depression and has been seeing a therapist. Part of me feels bad for him, but mostly I just feel grateful that his problems aren't my problems anymore. He made his choices, and now he gets to live with the consequences. As for me, I'm dating again, which feels weird but good. I met this guy named David at a coffee shop near my apartment, and we've been on a few dates. He's nothing like Jake. He's honest, straightforward, and he definitely doesn't have any creepy family dynamics. It's refreshing to be with someone who doesn't make me question my sanity or my worth. I know some people might think I should have tried harder to save my marriage, or that I should have confronted Jake privately before involving his mother, but honestly, I don't regret how I handled it. They were both lying to me, both betraying me, and they both deserve to face the consequences of their actions together. Sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away from toxic people and toxic situations, even when it's scary and even when it means starting over completely. I'm proof that you can survive even the most unthinkable betrayal and come out stronger on the other side. So that's my story, Reddit. My husband cheated on me with his mother, got her pregnant, and I found out in the most dramatic way possible. It sounds like something from a bad soap opera, but it's my real life. And honestly, I'm better off without both of them. Thanks for listening, y'all. Sometimes you just need to tell your story to people who don't know you, people who can't judge you based on anything other than the facts. Your support and advice have meant more to me than you'll ever know.